ਫੈਡਰਲ ਆਪੋਜੀਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਲੀਡਰ ਪੀਅਰ ਪੋਲੀਅਵ ਨੇ ਐਕਟਿੰਗ ਮੀਡੀਆ ਨਾਲ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰ ਫੇਰ ਪ੍ਰੈਸ ਕਾਨਫਰੰਸ ਕੀਤੀ। ਰਿਪੋਰਟਰਸ ਦੇ ਕਾਫੀ ਸਵਾਲ ਸੀਗੇ ਜਿਹਦੇ 'ਚ ਚੇਂਜਸ ਇਨ ਦ ਕ੍ਰਿਮੀਨਲ ਕੋਡ, ਇਕੋਨਮੀ, US ਦੀ ਇਕੋਨਮੀ ਕਿਉਂ ਸਟਰੋਂਗਰ ਹੈ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਤੋਂ, ਅਸੀਂ US ਨਾਲ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਰਿਚਰ ਬਣ ਸਕਦਾ US ਤੋਂ, ਔਰ US ਨਾਲ ਕਿਉਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੰਪੇਅਰ ਕਰਦੇ, ਇਹਦੇ ਤੇ ਵੀ ਚਰਚਾ ਹੋਈ। ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਹੋਈ ਇੰਟਰਨੈਸ਼ਨਲ ਸਟੂਡੈਂਟਸ ਦੀ ਸਫਰਿੰਗ ਤੇ, ਇਮੀਗ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਕਿਓਸ ਤੇ, ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਹੋਈ ਵੱਧਦੇ ਕ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਦੇ ਉੱਪਰ, ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਹੋਈ ਕਿ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਔਰ ਸਿੱਖ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਦੇ ਉੱਪਰ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਅਟੈਕ ਹੋ ਰਹੇ ਹੈ, ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਹੋਈ ਕਿ ਇਸ ਕੰਟਰੀ 'ਚ ਇੰਨਾ ਡਿਵੀਜ਼ਨ ਕਿਉਂ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ, ਔਰ ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਇਲਾਵਾ ਕਾਫੀ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਵਾਲ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਰਿਪੋਰਟਰਸ ਨੇ ਪੁੱਛੇ ਔਰ ਹਰ ਸਵਾਲ ਦਾ ਜਵਾਬ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਗਿਆ। ਅਸੀਂ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਪ੍ਰੈਸ ਕਾਨਫਰੰਸ ਦੀ ਕੁਝ ਖਾਸ ਹਾਈਲਾਈਟਸ ਔਰ ਸਵਾਲ ਪੁੱਛਾਂਗੇ ਪੀਅਰ ਪੋਲੀਅਵ ਨੂੰ, ਅਮੈਂਡਮੈਂਟ ਇਨ ਦ ਕ੍ਰਿਮੀਨਲ ਕੋਡ ਉਹਦੇ ਲਈ ਕੌਣ ਜ਼ਿੰਮੇਦਾਰ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਔਰ ਹੋਏਗਾ। Very positive statement, words in your initial statement that USA economy versus Canadian economy. Yes. And you said that Canada can be richer than America. Many times we also think that way, but our politicians most of the time they failed us. They failed us because we never talked about economy. Comparing 100 kilometers away, the US is there, their economy is quite higher. The burger cost is not $8 or $9 in US. The housing cost you already mentioned. But my question is more than that in terms of the crime. When we talk about the crime and making amendments in the criminal code, we feel, being a media, we feel that we are a roller coaster. The Canadians are roller coaster. We put a question to the Justice Minister, to the President of the Treasury Board and the federal government, like why you are not making changes in the criminal code when crime is so high? And their answer is like the changes or amendments are already being made, the laws are in place, it's up to the provincial government how they act and hire the judges. When we reach out to the provincial government, they say federal governments need to step up, these changes are not good enough. Same is the version from the police chief, same is the version of the Peel region chair Mr. Nando. So can you clarify why these kind of passing the bugs, and what plan do you have to make amendments in the criminal code so that Canadians, they can have a direct answer? Who is responsible to bring amendments? Are the politicians playing with the emotions of Canadian? Because the family who is suffering with these kind of crimes, if we go to their houses, their emotions, we cannot see that because they are the sufferers and politicians are playing with the emotions. Thank you.
We didn't have any of these problems before Trudeau and the NDP Liberals. We did not have catch and release bail. So I don't know how Trudeau can say it's the provinces. The criminal code is federal. He passed catch and release in C-75, which requires the automatic release of offenders on arrest on bail. This means that people who've committed 70 or 80 offenses can be released on bail within minutes of their latest arrest to reoffend, sometimes to be arrested 3 or 4 times in one day. In Vancouver, they had the same 40 offenders were arrested 6,000 times. In Penticton, there's one guy who does so much crime that when he's released from prison, the crime rate for the entire city goes up. One guy. You know, it seems pretty obvious what the solution is here. Let's pass a law saying that rampant career criminals are ineligible for bail, parole, probation, or house arrest. You get arrested, and you are a rampant criminal, you have a long rap sheet, you stay behind bars. There's no early release. You stay behind bars through your trial and to the end of your sentence. Bail was meant for people who've never committed a crime before and are newly accused and they've never been convicted. It wasn't meant for people who have 60 prior convictions to then be released again to continue committing offenses. So I will repeal C-5, the house arrest law, C-75, the bail law, and C-83, the prison reform law that allows Paul Bernardo out of maximum security into a medium penitentiary. And in so doing, I will bring home safe streets for our people once again. I hope that this sunshine is a symbol of the hope ahead, because I think there's a brighter future for Canada If only we could bring home the government that we knew and love, a government based on common sense that empowers our people to earn powerful paychecks that buy affordable food, gas, and homes in safe neighborhoods. A government that serves the people, not the other way around, in the freest country on earth, which restores the Canadian promise. And we all know the Canadian promise. I suspect everyone around this table at some point lived or aspired to the Canadian promise. That if you work hard, you can do anything. Anyone from anywhere can achieve anything. That was the promise that my school teacher parents taught me about when they adopted me from a 16-year-old single mom who had put me up for adoption. And that's the promise that brought my wife here as a refugee from Venezuela. 6 people in a 2-bedroom basement apartment in Montreal. But now her dad's a businessman. Her brothers are carpenter and soldier. Sister's a nurse. The truth about Canada is it doesn't matter where you come from. It matters where you're going. It doesn't matter who you knew. It matters what you can do. But that promise is now broken after 9 years of the NDP Liberals. Everything costs more as inflationary deficits print $700 billion of new cash, bidding up goods faster than at any time in 40 years. Work doesn't pay. You make it, Trudeau takes it. Housing costs have more than doubled, rising the fastest in the G7. And now housing is about 25 to 45% more expensive in Canada than it is in the United States, even though they have 8 times the people to house on a smaller landmass, and they make much higher wages than our workers. Speaking of which, Canadian workers now make a third less than their American counterparts. Per capita GDP in the US is $65,000 USD. In Canada, it's $45,000 USD, again, in the same currency. Now, why is it that the American economy is 50% richer than the Canadian economy? We have more resources, a bigger land mass, 4 coasts. We should be far richer than the Americans. This is nonsense. This idea, this inferiority complex we have. Well, they're the big Americans. We can never be strong like them. Well, why is Singapore and Switzerland and Ireland, why are they richer than America? They can do it. You know, my grandfather on my mother's side came from Ireland about 65, 70 years ago. Why? Ireland was poor. You know, Ireland's per capita GDP is 70% higher than Canada's today, which shows you what happens when you cut taxes, red tape, and open up the economy to free enterprise. And in addition to the poverty and misery, we have crime, chaos, drugs, and disorder. Every day there's a new horror story of someone chopped to pieces by a machete. We drive past these homeless encampments where half-dead bodies lie contorted on the dirt, overdosing on drugs. 44,000 people have died of overdose. That's almost as many people as we lost in all of World War II, to put it into context. And catch and release criminal justice has caused chaos in our streets. Extortion, businessmen getting letters that either they pay $1 million or their 3-year-old daughter is going to have a bullet fly through her window in the middle of the night in Canada. This is insane. Everything is broken after 9 years of the NDP Liberals. But the good news is life was not like this before Trudeau, and it won't be like this after he's gone. We're going to bring home the country that we knew and still love. And that's why I'm calling for a carbon tax election. And it will be a very stark choice. You have the NDP Liberals who propose a 61 cent a litre carbon tax, 4 times higher than it is today. That would cause a nuclear winter. Many of you represent and write for communities that are in trucking. How many of the trucks could keep running with a 61 cent a litre carbon tax? I think most of them would just be sold off to the Americans. They have no carbon tax. If you're in a trucking business, you pay zero carbon tax in America, 61 cents in Canada. That's a difference of 1/3. All the trucks are going to go down to the States. And then, who's going to deliver the goods to the grocery stores? What are all those truckers going to do for jobs? What about the medium-sized factories and warehouses that make machinery and devices that have to go on trucks to be transported to their clients? They're going to go out of business as well. It could be an economic depression like we've never seen if this radical plan goes ahead. But I will axe the tax. I will axe the carbon tax to bring down energy prices. We will cut income tax so hard work pays off and you bring home more of each dollar you earn. We will fix the budget to pay for it. We'll cap spending, cut waste and bureaucracy, slash outside consultants and foreign aid to bring our money home, bring our debt, inflation, and interest rates down. So people bring home more of each dollar they earn. But you need a home to bring it to. The problem we have now is that Canada has the fewest homes per capita of any country in the G7, even though we have by far the most land to build on. So you have more people and more money bidding on a small number of houses. What's the solution? Build more homes. What's stopping us? Government bureaucracy. We have the second slowest building permits of any country in the OECD, the worst in the G7. 3 times longer to get a building permit in Canada compared to the US and UK. This adds hundreds of thousands of dollars of cost to every newly built home. And the number one cost for a new home today is not land, labor, or lumber, it's bureaucracy. In fact, more money goes to bureaucrats for a new home than goes to the carpenters, electricians, and plumbers who actually build it. My common sense plan will require municipalities free up permits and land and cut development taxes to build 15% more as a condition of getting their federal funds. Those that meet the target will get their money from the federal government. Those that beat the target will get a bonus, but those that don't will lose their money. So the City Hall politicians and bureaucrats will have to get out of the way and build the homes unless they want to lose their cash. We'll sell off 6,000 federal buildings and thousands of acres of federal land to build, and we'll back the trades. We're going to get red sealed trades material from the federal government to the provinces and schools so we can get more carpenters, electricians, mechanics, and other tradespeople. We want those trades workers to bring home their paychecks to safe neighborhoods. So we will stop the crime. We'll bring in jail and not bail for repeat violent offenders who will no longer be eligible for parole, probation, house arrest, or bail. They will stay behind bars when they're taken off the streets. We will ban hard drugs, shut down the drug dens. We will stop giving out taxpayer-funded opioids and instead put the money in treatment and recovery to bring our loved ones home drug-free. We'll secure the borders. 99% of shipping containers are uninspected today. That's where the stolen cars are going. High-powered scanners can look into those containers to intercept drugs, guns, and stolen cars, and we will pay for it by canceling the gun grab. The government has spent $40 million in 4 years claiming that it's going to confiscate firearms from licensed owners. They haven't been able to get a single gun off the street with this program. And now even the supporters of banning guns admit that this gun purchase the government's going to do will just give money to gun owners to buy their existing guns so they can go out and buy other guns that are of a similar make and model and do exactly the same thing. What a colossal waste of money. Let's cancel that insanity and go after the criminals and gun smugglers. Let's bring home our freedom by repealing censorship laws, rebuilding our military, securing our borders, and upholding common sense immigration once again. Common sense is the key word. The common sense plan to axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime. Axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime. That's how we'll restore Canada's promise, where anyone from anywhere can do anything, where hard work earns a powerful paycheck that buys affordable food, gas, and homes in safe neighborhoods. We've learned in the last 2 months that at least 2 alleged active ISIS members were given entry to Canada, where they plotted to carry out mass terrorist attacks against our people and against Jews in New York City. One of these individuals is alleged to have cut up a human body on a crucifix in Syria before, and this was videotaped, before he gained entry to our country. So somehow this video is circulating online and our immigration officials are not able to see it and deny the person entry. And were it not for a tip from the French government, we might not have been able to stop his planned attack in Toronto. Loved ones of people in this room, or maybe member people in this room, might have been the victim of that terrorist attack had it gone ahead. And it wasn't because we found out about it that it was stopped. It was because the French, using their intelligence, learned of it and gave us a tip. So now we can't even protect our own country. We have to rely on foreign countries to give us information about what's happening on our soil. That is how insane this is. We need to screen newcomers to make sure that they are, as they have always been in Canada, law-abiding, safe, and respecting the rule of law. And we need to restore the controls in the immigration system to end the fraud and the rampant abuse that Justin Trudeau has unleashed. Before Trudeau, we had the best immigration system in the world. Countries all around the world said we need to do what Canada does. They bring in the best people, they get jobs, they're integrated, they get great education, they pay taxes, they build the country. People like my wife. And we were bringing people in at a very high rate, but at a rate that we could absorb into our housing market, our job market, and our healthcare system. But over particularly the last 3 years, it has been absolute chaos and mayhem. And we need to restore common sense, control, and compassion to our immigration system to bring home the best system in the world, and that's what I will do. First of all, targeting Hindus is totally unacceptable. The vandalization and the hate crimes that have gone after Hindus is absolutely unacceptable, and the Hindus have the right to worship, to raise their families, to live in peace without intimidation or threat. And common sense conservatives will stand up for the rights of Hindus to live freely in this country like everyone else. Anti-Hindu and Hindu-phobia agendas have no place. And I detest how the Prime Minister has divided our people. You know, we were getting along in this country. Now look at how everybody's fighting. Everybody's fighting. All the groups that used to get along are now divided more than ever. We need to bring people together around our common Canadian values of faith, family, and freedom, of hard work and patriotism. One flag, one people, we are all united. And as for our criminal justice system, the reason why the courts are so jammed up is because the same criminals are coming back and back again and again and again. My policy of jail, not bail, will mean fewer crimes and therefore fewer justices that are required to oversee the justice system. Or I should say this, we would be able to get rid of the congestion in our criminal justice system by just keeping the criminal in jail. You know, the guy doesn't get out, he can't reoffend. He doesn't reoffend, he doesn't have to go back to court. So let's just lock up the criminals for good and relieve the congestion on our overburdened judicial system. The capital gains tax increase up to 66% is a disaster for Canada. You know, for the first 14 years of this century, Canada was winning the tug of war for capital with the Americans. There was 30 to 100 billion more American money invested in Canada than Canadian money invested in the United States. That was a good thing. But in the last 9 years, the money has gone in the other direction. Now there's $450 billion more Canadian invested in the States than there is American invested in Canada. $450 billion is, and that's in American money, so it's like $600, $700 billion Canadian, the equivalent of a third of our economy. Why? Because people who invest in their RSP and their pension funds realize they're getting a better return in the States. You get a fast permit, you get low taxes, you get an open economy. Here, what do you get? You're strangled by red tape. You want to invest in a mine? It takes 19 years to get it approved. And let's say you make a profit. Well, now there's a 66% capital gains tax. And not only that, you then pay high income taxes. So our money is leaving the country. I voted against the capital gains tax hike, and I will pass a bring it home tax cut, which will lower taxes on work, investment, and making stuff in Canada. The goal is to bring home powerful paychecks and production to Canada so people can afford good food and a decent home in safe neighborhoods. Thank you very much. I should say, we shouldn't blame the individual students and temporary foreign workers. They're actually very good, hardworking people, and they just want the same chance that we had and that our parents and our grandparents had. When I meet these kids and they're working nonstop. You know, I show up at a hotel in Sault Ste. Marie at 11 p.m. for the next part of my tour, and I see a young person from India who's there delivering Uber Eats at 11 o'clock at night, and you know they have to be up the next morning to go to school. These are very good, hardworking, decent people. But the system is totally out of control, and so when they arrive, they don't realize they're not going to have a home. There's no homes for people in Canada. They might not have a job. Where our unemployment rate is up a full percentage point now over the last year, and we're adding 1 million people to our workforce every year, while we're only adding about 150,000 jobs. And then they're being swindled by consultants who sign them up for fake universities and colleges. So we have to end all this insanity and fraud and get back to the common sense system that, yes, invited workers to fill genuine vacancies that Canadians could not fill, that brought in students to actually learn skills, and if they succeeded and learned English or French, could stay here and build a life. And finally, we have to get a blue seal licensing standards so that immigrant professionals can prove they are qualified quickly and get to work in their licensed profession. We did this in the trades back in 1952, 72 years ago. Why don't we do it in the professions? We can get those 20,000 immigrant doctors, 32,000 immigrant nurses working to relieve the pressure on our healthcare system. International students are being sold into human trafficking, forced into lives of crime because of the desperation that they find when they arrive in Canada. They have no homes. They're crammed 26 people into one basement apartment in Brampton. They have increasing unemployment, job lines. I don't know if you've seen some of these job fairs where there's 300-meter lineups for people for just one minimum wage job, and so out of desperation, they're ending up in crime. This never happened before the NDP Liberals. It is the result of the total chaos in our international student and temporary foreign worker programs, a chaos that I think is designed to profit large multinational corporations who exploit these workers from poor countries by undercutting Canadians' wages. I will end this chaos. We will bring back normal, absorbable numbers for international students, temporary foreign workers, and we will ensure that they are not exploited by immigration consultants, multinational corporations, or crime networks. As for the workforce, I think we need to put Red Seal material in our high schools. The Red Seal system is how we license the trades, the carpenters, electricians, etc. Schools are run provincially, but the Red Seal Council is federal. I intend to send a present to every high school principal. It's going to be a big box. And he's going to get this box, he's going to open it up, and what is he going to find? A module for every licensed trade. This is how you can get your high school kids doing carpentry, mechanics, plumbing, pipe fitting, whatever trades you want to teach. Here's your module, and here's how you can get creditable hours towards their apprenticeship so that they can get their license in those trades 2 years faster than they do right now by starting in high school. I want to use the Cadet Corps, for example. Let's expand the Cadet Corps because it is a free program that gives military discipline, but we can also incorporate the trades because in the military you need heavy-duty mechanics, aviation mechanics, and other highly trained trades workers. So my goal is to put more and more of our resources into the trades. We need more boots, not more suits, if we're going to build the infrastructure and homes of the future. First of all, the minister is a liar. He's the one who has been caught lying about his military record, and he's lying again. The nickname was actually created by Sikhs who were criticizing Jagmeet Singh, and Jagmeet Singh has sold out Canadians. He said he would be a voice for workers, and then he signed on to keep Justin Trudeau in power in order to get his $2.2 million pension. So here we are, we have to wait for an election until next year because that's when Jagmeet Singh gets his $2.2 million pension so that he can buy his fancy watches, cars, and Versace bags. That does make him a sellout. I'm a strong supporter of the Sikh community. My deputy leader is a Sikh. My finance critic is a Sikh. Those are the two most senior positions in the entire Conservative shadow cabinet are Sikhs, and they have Singh in their names. And I love the Sikh community, and I'm going to keep reaching out in gurdwaras and across the country. I'm the only one championing the Sikh values of faith, family, and freedom. Under Trudeau and Singh, the Sikh community is not safe. They're being targeted. There's been assassinations, extortions, car thefts. Their children can't afford homes. I'm the only one fighting back. I'm the only one fighting for a direct flight to Amritsar. Maybe the minister should actually focus on fighting for Sikhs rather than fighting and making false allegations. Why didn't he get a direct flight to Amritsar? Trudeau signed on to an open skies agreement with Modi with no direct flight to Amritsar. Singapore, Malaysia, UK, UAE, Italy, Uzbekistan all have direct flights to Amritsar, and yet our Punjabi population, which is the biggest in the world outside of India, does not have a direct flight. So why is it that this, I think the Liberals and the NDP, they really cared about Sikhs, they would actually focus on that rather than on protecting Jagmeet Singh from criticism, legitimate criticism for his appalling betrayal of Canadians that he was supposed to represent. Well, it's not clear what sellout Jagmeet Singh is actually planning to do. He said he's pulling out of the supply and confidence agreement, but he won't vote non-confidence. So that means he's still in the agreement. The only thing that has changed is he's put out a video. So, nobody can trust anything he says. But I'm going to put pressure on him and the Bloc to trigger a carbon tax election so that Canadians can vote for a common sense government that will axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime. Any day now we'll get a schedule from the government on when I get to introduce a motion. And I can tell you that that motion will be a non-confidence motion. And it will be up to trigger a carbon tax election. And it will be up to the Bloc and NDP to decide whether they keep in power the most costly, corrupt, crime-ridden government in Canadian history, whether they are going to continue driving up home and food costs, or whether they're going to vote for a carbon tax election, where Canadians can choose a common sense government that will axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime.